गतिं नवलेहकरं जगत्तापहरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं निजभक्तिकरं प्रियचारुतरं नटनर्तननागरराजकुलं कुलकामिनी मानसलास्यकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं करतालवलं कलकण्ठरवं मृदुवाद्यसुवीनिकया मधुरं निजभक्तिगुणावृतनाट्यकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं युगधर्मयुतं पुनर्नन्दसुतं धरणीषु चित्रं भवभावोचितं तनुध्यानचितं निजवासयुतं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरम् अरुणं नयनं चरणं वसनं वदने स्खलितं स्वकनामधरं कुरुते सुरसं जगता जीवनं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम
Hare Krishna Mataji, thanks for that wonderful kirtan.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी
Hare Krishna Purnanandini Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna Mataji, welcome to the morning session. Over to you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji.
Do you want us to share, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Brajashana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Jayo Gurudev, Jayo Jayo Gurudev, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Nam Sankirtan Mahayat ki jai. Tagore Sitanath Pramanande, Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, welcoming all devotees to this daily Srimad Bhagavatam class. We're in chapter 7 of Canto 2, which is titled Scheduled Incarnations. So we'll just do the prayers before we start. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayite girim yat krupatam aham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are discussing Canto 2, Chapter 7, Shlokas 15, 16, 17 and 18. 4 shlokas. And the first 2 shlokas are about Gajendra Moksha, and the other 2 shlokas are about Bali Maharaj. So we will try to read the shloka and translation and see what Srila Prabhupada has to give us in his purpose. Vasudha Mataji can read the shloka and Radhika Mataji can read the translation.
Mataji, I'll do the next shloka. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Radhika Mataji, please read the shloka.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Mataji, can you help me out in reading the shloka, Mataji?
Mataji, can I help her out in the shloka, if that's okay with you?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Anta sarasyuru balena pade grihito.
Anta sarasyuru balena pade girihito.
Grahena yukta patir ambuja hasta artaha.
Grahena yuta patir ambuja hasta arta.
Ahedam adi purusha kilak lokanatha.
Ahedam adi purusa khila lokanatha.
Tirtha Shravana Mangala Namadeya.
Tirtha Shravana Mangala Namadeya. Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Anita Mataji, please read the translation.
Hare Krishna. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The leaders of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of superior strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, O original enjoyer, Lord of the universe, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Gajendra Moksha, that we are going to see in detail in the 8th. Hare Krishna. Somebody is trying to say something. Hare Krishna. Okay. Gajendra Moksha pastime, we are going to see in detail in the 8th canto. Now, what is Srila Prabhupada saying in the purport is that this pastime highlights the aspect of Nama and Krishna are abhinna. We know that shloka. Rama Chintamani Krishna. Krishnasya Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatva Nama Naminaha. This is coming from the Padma Purana. Now, why this part is highlighted here, we will see. Though the elephant, is very huge and strong, but Kala or Krishna is the ultimate decider. Now, even though the crocodile, is weaker than elephant, but the situation is such that the elephant feels weaker in that, because the crocodile is strong in water. Now, what created this situation, or who has created this situation? It is created by the Gajendra's own previous actions, the reaction to his actions. Now, when we go to the 8th canto, see in detail, we'll see that Gajendra in his previous birth was King Indradyumna, and he was very proud. And he was proud, but also a devotee. So that is how, when he was in distress, he was able to remember the Lord's name. Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, is saying, is talking about shloka 7.16 of Bhagavad Gita, which says, 4 types of people who come to me, the distressed. Now, why is this important? Because most of the time when we are in distress, or it can be in small degree or it can be in higher degree, most of the time, if we are not pious enough, we will get into blaming everyone else, including God, for the distressed condition. And then we may take up to the wrong methods or wrong ways of trying to find the solution for that distress. Because Gajendra was a devotee in the previous birth, Srila Prabhupada says he was able to remember the Lord's name when he was in utmost distress. Imagine, for 1,000 years, his leg was, stuck in the crocodile's mouth. And then even after that, after trying, of course, when you see the pastime, he tries on all ways. He thinks he's strong, then he thinks his family members can pull him out and all that. And after going through all that, then he understands, or rather the Lord gives him the intelligence that the only savior in any condition is himself, that is the Lord. And so he calls out to the Lord. In fact, some acharyas very nicely say how eager the Lord was, even though Gajendra had forgotten, momentarily, or Gajendra had forgotten that the Lord was supreme. He had forgotten he was depending on his own strength, on his own relatives. That is how we all are, right? When we are in distress, we go to, we take shelter of people, we take shelter of things which are as limited as us, or which are, not as free as the spiritual master. Free in the sense, I mean, who are also equally entangled, and their resources, their intelligence, everything is limited. And the solutions we get from these people, or these materialistic aspects, is that it caters to that particular incident, but then if we take shelter of the Lord, then he sees our past, present, and future, and he gives solution in such a way that we are not distressed anymore, and which makes our path to spiritual activities more easier, whatever the obstacles that are there, which is definitely not in the scope of any of the things I mentioned. It can be in terms of money, it can be in terms of relatives, it can be in terms of friends, it can be in terms of our own intelligence. So that is the intelligence which was given to Gajendra after 1,000 years of this distress that he was in, which is giving us a message what we should do when we are in distress, whom we should go and seek. Any other source that we go, okay, they are not always available, and then and then there can be some hidden motive in what they want to if they want something to give a solution, there can be a possibility. So it is only the Lord who can give us the actual solution and take us out from this bondage. And very famously, we have these Gajendra Moksha prayers, which has to be recited every day. How can we recite it every day? It's the best. There were a lot of in YouTube, if you find there, all we have to do is just play it and say it along every day, and in a matter of few weeks we will know the shloka. And it is very good, especially when people are during their end time. I mean, if they are leaving the body, this Gajendra Moksha is supposed to be the most said prayer because it removes all the runa or all the debts that we have with various people. So, and it is of course definitely good to say it every day. So also how eager the Lord was when Gajendra was calling him, even though he tried all with all his efforts with various other things. The acharyas say Garuda himself is so swift. Lord Narayana was coming to help Gajendra, but then he thought the Garuda is going very slow. So they say he took Garuda on his shoulder and he came faster to save his devotee. So that is how the Lord is. Even though we have forgotten, even though we don't look at him, even though we give all our try, but then if we do this with any other of our known contacts or any of our other known people, they may say, you didn't come to me when you really needed me. Now why are you coming to me? But the Lord is not like that. That is how merciful is. And then the famous prayers of Gajendra, few points that highlights in the purport of Srila Prabhupada, Adi Purusha is the original enjoyer, he's the original creator, and he's the original protector of everyone. Then there is another word which says Akila Lokanatha. But he is eager to protect his devotee because devotee acknowledges his supremacy. So that is what we discussed, the supremacy that he is the ultimate protector. Then Tirtha Shrava. Now, as holy as a pilgrimage place, what is as holy as a pilgrimage place? The Lord's holy name. Okay. Now, if we are sitting here and if we can all say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. It's as good as going to any of the dhams or any of the Tirtha Kshetra. Now, why do we go to the Tirtha Kshetra? We go there so that we absolve of the sins that are there. We go, because these dhamas or these Tirtha Kshetra are special places where the Lord has done some pastimes. And then we find lot of Vaishnavas residing there, though we try to go and serve them there. And then we absolve of our sins there. But Srila Prabhupada says one thing, that a pure devotee need not go to any dhamma, because the pure devotee is not, he's not into any sinful acts. But however, because of certain situations, in the material world, it may look that he must have committed some sinful acts, which the Lord definitely takes off just by the pure devotee remembering the Lord. So that is about Tirtha Shravha. And then there is one more word which is called Shravana Mangala or Punya Shravana Kirtana. Shravana Mangala, all auspicious, and it is purifying, it is auspicious for everyone. That is how we see the Srila Prabhupada, gave these Rath Yatras. People don't want to listen to it. They still, they don't want to listen to it. But even though they don't want to listen to it, Acharyas, pure devotees are so merciful that they still want everybody to listen to the Shravana Mangala. What is the Shravana Mangala? The holy name of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord. The whole atmosphere, everything becomes auspicious and enlivening. So, in the end of the shloka, all this comes to the aspect of Namadhyaya. So, the only thing that is worth listening to and chanting is the holy name of the Lord, which is what Gajendra did, and which he received the most merciful thing, that the Lord himself comes to save him. So that was about shloka 15. Now shloka 16. Yes, that Mataji, I forgot her name. She wanted to read this shloka. I don't see her here.
Radhika Mataji.
Deepta Mataji. You said you will read the next shloka, right? Deepa Mataji.
Sure. Yeah, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Shrutva Haristamaran Shrutva Haristamaranaarthinamaprameyash Chakrayudha Patagaraja Bhujadirudha Chakrena Nakravadanam Vinipatya Tasmad Dhaste Pragrihya Bhagavan Kripayojahara. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shanti Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes. Translation Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. The personality of Godhead, after hearing the elephant's plea, felt that the elephant needed his immediate help, for he was in great distress. Thus, at once the Lord appeared there on the wings of the king of birds, Garuda, fully equipped with his weapon, the wheel chakra it is, no Mataji? Yeah. The wheel chakra. With the wheel, he cut to pieces the mouth of the crocodile to save the elephant, and he delivered the elephant by lifting him by his trunk.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Deepa Mataji, that was a very nice, melodious way of saying the shloka. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Vaikuntha, Srila Prabhupada says, is so far away. It's beyond the comprehension of the most intelligent person on earth, Srila Prabhupada says. So, the distance of Vaikuntha cannot be gauged with any of our material senses. Then how is it the Lord heard if he is beyond the distance that we can imagine? So the word aprameya comes to, Srila Prabhupada says, aprameya, it is possible. Because the Lord is unlimited, so anything is possible for the Lord. That's how he heard Gajendra, who was calling out here, and though the Lord was in Vaikuntha. Now, two takeaways for us here from this pastime and these two shlokas. Now, the chakra, he leaves the chakra to kill the crocodile. Now, is it that the Lord was not very merciful to the crocodile and he was merciful only to Gajendra? No, because he was equally merciful to the crocodile also, because the ayudha, anything related to the Lord's paraphernalia, the Lord pastimes, the Lord himself, the Lord Dhama, okay, is non-different from the Lord. So the touch of the chakra make the crocodile also liberate, get moksha. So Srila Prabhupada in several of his talks, lectures says, whether the Lord protects or the Lord kills, both are his mercy. So it was not just Gajendra, even the crocodile was got the mercy of the Lord. Now, did the Lord, another question, another takeaway here is, or we have to understand rather than takeaway, what is it that we have to understand? Now, did the Lord personally have to come to do all these leelas, to save Gajendra from the mouth of the crocodile? No, not necessarily. Even just he has to even just think, and then the crocodile could have been dead and Gajendra could have got liberated. Now, if we think of an example, if a parent working in an office, if a mother or a father gets a phone from the school that the child is sick, the parent would come personally rather than send a driver or anybody to pick up the child, because it is it's in distress and in need of the hour is that. So similarly, if a parent in the material world can be so loving, then what to talk of the Supreme Father? So he personally wanted to come to show how much he really cared for his child. So if we have to gain this kind of mercy of the Lord, we have to call out like how Gajendra called out. Now, how can we how do we understand this? How to call out to the Lord in that kind of Now, usually what happens when children are small, the children they keep on crying, or that is their language, keep on crying, because until they learn to speak, for everything they cry. And then after some time, the mother, especially when the child is a little older and is able to walk around or play and other things, the mother thinks, okay, he's always crying. I mean, that is how it is. And then she doesn't reciprocate so much. But then when the mother hears the child, cry out in a different way, really calling out, "Mommy," or "Mama," something like that, then the mother realizes that there is something not okay, and then she comes running. So if we have to see Krishna running towards us, then our chanting, our calling out should be in that way that when the child is in distress and calls out for the parent or the mother, we have to call out like that. And then when do we have to, all the time when we call out, we have to call out to the Lord like this. And then that is when the Lord will actually say, okay, this person is really completely dependent on me, and then he comes to remove us from this entanglement of this material world. And then when we do this, then we can see the magic happen. What is the magic? That how the Lord reciprocates. We may think even it's a small thing, something about cooking, how will the Lord reciprocate? But actually the Lord reciprocates. It is just that we have to experience it, because we can only say so much. If I can keep on saying the jamun is very nice, the Lord reciprocates a lot. But unless one eats the jamun, or one believes and gets to the path of doing that aspect of calling out to the Lord, whether it's small or big, and we can really experience that aspect of the Lord reciprocating, like how we experience the sweet taste of the jamun when we eat it. So that is the main takeaway from the Gajendra Moksha prayer or the pastime, that we have to be completely always dependent on the Lord, and then we have to call out as though this is the last moment. I mean, when we are chanting or when we are praying, we have to really pray, Lord, please save me. Yeah. So now the next two shlokas are about Bali Maharaj. So we'll go to shloka 17. Sudha Mataji can read and Rama Reddy Prabhu can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Jayan gunairavarajopyadite sutanam lokan vichakrama mimam yadhata diyajna shamam vamanena jagre tripadachalena yajnamrate. Yes, Mataji.
Kshamam.
Kshamam. Okay, kshamam. Shamam vamanena jagre tripadachalena yajnamrate paticharan prabhubhirna chalyaha. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Ram Reddy Prabhu, the translation, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord, although transcendental to all material modes, still surpassed all the qualities of the sons of Aditi, known as the Adityas. The Lord appeared as the youngest son of Aditi, and because he surpassed all the planets of the universe, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. On the pretense of asking for a measurement of 3 footsteps of land, he took away all the lands of Bali Maharaja. He asked simply because without begging, no authority can take one's rightful possession. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. So, yeah, now this is a very, what to say, I can say a sensitive, but at the same time, why is it sensitive topic I'm saying? Because here, in the translation and in the purport, we say that Bali Maharaj, what did the Lord do? He took away everything from him. So much so, the third step, he had to give his head. That means, in the Navavida Bhakti, Bali Maharaj, Atmanivedanam, the example of Atmanivedanam usually is given by Bali Maharaj. Now, Bali Maharaj was the youngest son of Aditi. He appears to give mercy to Prahlad's grandson. Bali Maharaj is Prahlad's grandson. And then we see, if we have known the pastime of Bali Maharaj, we know how the Lord takes away everything from Bali Maharaj. Now, most of the times, right, when we lose something in terms of, it can be things, it can be people, it can be health, it can be anything, right? Our mood or our reaction is, how is our reaction? Either we are very morose, we are angry, we are dejected, we are depressed, we are sad, right? These are some of the reactions. But with this example, we should understand that Krishna in the Vamana Avatara is telling that it is extreme mercy when Krishna is taking away something from anybody. And if he is taking everything away, then, we can just read the last 2 lines of the purport, what Srila Prabhupada says, the last 2 lines of the purport. Yeah, Momita Mataji, can you just read the last 2 lines? So, by giving everything to the
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So by giving everything to the cause of the Lord, one does not lose anything, but he gains everything that he could ever otherwise expect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
So this is coming, these words are coming from a pure devotee. Now, there should be no doubt about it. So let's see a few other things about this Bali Maharaj and this aspect also. The first thing is, when Vamana, they've asked Bali Maharaj to give 3 steps of land. Bali Maharaj tells, he initially, even though he realizes this is somebody extraordinary, because he sees his effulgence and all that, he says, don't come to a king and ask for a naya paisa. I mean, don't come and ask for 10 rupees. You ask something, so you ask in such a way that in future, as a Brahmana, you don't have to beg anymore. Then Vamandev says, if one is not satisfied with what one has, then one will never be satisfied even if he gets the whole world. Okay, this is a lesson for us, that we have to be happy with what we have, satisfied with what we have. Otherwise, our list never ends until until the time of death. Also, the list goes on and on. So this is the one lesson that we can take from Bali Maharaj's pastime. Then this Leela also tells us when a guru has to be rejected, when a guru can be rejected. It very famously, it says Pran Jaya Par Vachana Jaya. Right? Here the guru, because the guru realized
And then ultimately, when Bali Maharaj realized it was Lord himself, and then he has come to ask him, and the Guru is saying, don't give. So that is when he rejects the Guru. And then we know 18.66, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. By surrendering everything to Krishna, one only gains. It can be in terms of Sukriti or opulence based on one surrender or one gains. Now, what is it? What happened to Bali Maharaj? Bali Maharaj lost everything. He was given another loka. And what happened in that? I forget whether it is Sutala or Patala Loka, which one of the lokas. I don't exactly remember. The Lord says, I will be your doorman. Can we imagine, being a sentry in front of anybody's house? I mean, exactly like how for Arjuna, Krishna took the position of a Sarathi. What is a Sarathi? Is a driver, right? So, is it that Bali Maharaj lost everything? Yes, in terms of material terms, he did lose, but then he got something so permanent, which and nobody could expect in such a manner that he would get all these things. And the Lord is so pleased with Bali Maharaj because he gave up everything, right? He was so pleased that, Lakshmi ji comes and tells Bali Maharaj that there were several doors to the palace that he was there, and each time he used to choose different door. So Lakshmi ji comes and tells Bali Maharaj, please, you choose one door to exit and enter, or to use one door, because my Lord is anxious which door you will come through, and then so he has to be there as a doorman. Now, that is how much the Lord is reciprocating with his pure devotee. So actually, he lost everything. Actually, he didn't lose anything at all. And then, is it that the Lord is anxious and he doesn't know where to, which door he is going to come? Sutala Loka. Thank you, Mataji, for that. Yes. Is it that the Lord didn't know? No, the Lord knew. But then he's showing how much he loves his devotees. And also this pastime, because Bali Maharaj, like, we as conditioned souls, we have few things in positions, and we think we own so many things. We own this. And imagine Bali Maharaj, was the king of the whole universes, including the heavenly planets and other things, right? So he was in this bewilderment that I own all this. So Krishna came to say that I am the proprietor, and then never be in this mood that you own everything. And also, there is a very interesting aspect that Vindhyavali, Bali Maharaj's wife, after Bali Maharaj says, okay, I'll give you 3 steps, and then he bows his head and everything, Vindhyavali actually asks forgiveness from the Lord. She says, you please forgive my husband, because very foolishly he said that he owns it and he's giving it to you, whereas everything is yours. It's just that he has to surrender it to you. So this is another highlight of we can take from Bali Maharaj's pastime, that how nothing is ours. Then what is the aspect that I will donate anything to the Lord? Okay, what is his is we are giving it to his. So we are only caretakers. That is what Srila Prabhupada says. We are only caretakers of whatever we have. It can be material things, it can be the people that we are with. Everything is Krishna's. And then, so how is it that we please? That when we use it in the service of the Lord. Okay, so we'll see the last shloka for today, shloka 18. Yeah, Divya Mataji, please read the text, and Prashanti Mataji will read the translation.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Narto baleraya murukrama pada saucham apashika dritavato vibhudadipatyam यो वै प्रतिश्रुतमर्तेन चिकीर्षदन्यत् आत्मानं मङ्गमनसा हरये अभ्यमेने. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams.
Very good. Very nice.
Translation by Prabhupada ki Jai. Bali Maharaj, who put on his head the water washed from the lotus feet of the Lord, did not think of anything besides his promise, in spite of being forbidden by his spiritual master. The king dedicated his own personal body to fulfill the measurement of the Lord's third step. For such a personality, even the kingdom of heaven, which he conquered by his strength, was of no value. Shall I read Purport, Mataji?
No, Mataji. I don't think we'll have time for that. Hare Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada in the purport, says he gives his own body. Bali Maharaj gives his own body. And then it if we are not aware of Krishna or his ways, it would look like the Lord snatched away everything from Bali Maharaj. But, Srila Prabhupada time and again says, it is really only pure devotees get this mercy that, the Lord takes away everything. And what does he do by taking away everything? He gives them loving devotional service. That is the special favor for a pure devotee. In fact, Srila Prabhupada's whole history or his whole lifetime was another example of this. The way he started ISKCON when he went to the West with just 40 rupees and translations of Srimad Bhagavatam. He had absolutely nothing, not just in terms of money, or when he went to New York and first, when he landed in America, he didn't know whether to turn left or right. And then he didn't know whose house he was going. So that is the amount of mercy that the Lord showed, and the mercy accepted by the pure devotee. Why Srila Prabhupada is saying time and again, as pure devotee is given such a benediction? Because otherwise, we are in the process of becoming a devotee. So such a extreme thing, we may not be able to palate, we may not be able to. So that's why Krishna, gives, that is also his mercy, that, he gives the mercy as much as we can take it. And then each time he gives, he keeps purifying us. So for the pure devotee, they're completely surrendered. And then from that 40 rupees, one businessman asked Srila Prabhupada, can you show any magic? So Prabhupada says, you are a businessman, from 40 rupees, I have so many $1,000, and like with book distribution and other things, and so many temples, of course, all in service of Krishna. He says, do you want any more magic than that? Then the businessman says, no. So that is how the Lord reciprocates with a pure devotee. And then also in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, any amount of material possession is temporary. And if one does not give it up voluntarily, then Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 10.34 says, Mrityu sarva haraschaham. As death, I take away everything. What does it mean he takes away everything? And what does it mean we don't give it up voluntarily? That means, is it that we just throw away what we have? No. It means that we have to simply use whatever we have in the service of Krishna, right? Or to propagate Krishna consciousness. That is what is giving up voluntarily. And in fact, if we see, most of these possessions which you have are an obstacles for self-realization, okay? And it gives rise to a false prestige. So by taking it away, Krishna is helping us to become closer to him. Whoever, whatever he takes away, it can be bit by bit, or it can be at once. It only makes us closer to Krishna. I'm talking of this, devote path of Krishna consciousness. or in the path of Krishna consciousness, because they have accepted the supremacy of the Lord. They have accepted whatever Hare Krishna. They have accepted whatever the Lord does is, for his benefit, for his ultimate good. So, and then also Srila Prabhupada highlights, keep our needs minimum, just enough to maintain our existence, keep the body and soul together. So Sanatana Dharma also a very, very important point that Srila Prabhupada further in the purport talks about, how Sanatana Dharma propagates civilization of Atma, which is the perfect civilization. Now we have such a wrong end of the stick now by saying, or by endorsing, more one possesses, more person is successful. It can be in terms of education, it can be in terms of wealth, it can be in terms of material, any material aspect, So the present world thinks the more we have, the more cars, the more we have, more successful or more civilized the person is. Now the process can be anything. It can be by hook or crook. The process we can singe anybody. I mean, hurt anybody. That is not the botheration. Our concern is we should have more. So that person is more, smart or more civilized. But Srila Prabhupada concludes in the purport by saying we should follow Bali Maharaj, who gave up even the heavenly planets, which is, insignificant, compared to the kingdom of the God. Okay, and that is got only through Bhakti Yoga. And what is Bhakti Yoga? Bhakti Yoga is nothing but Bhakti can, translate to love, and love is what is, like I have repeatedly saying, is a verb, not a noun. If I have to love somebody, it can be a spouse, it can be a friend, it can be children, it can be parents, anybody, it can be a colleague, anybody. Love actually means when we do something for the person we love, not that we just say I love you, I like you, and then we don't do anything about it. so here Srila Prabhupada says, when bhakti, when Srila Prabhupada talks about devotional service, bhakti yoga, he means doing devotional service in whatever capacity we can. It can be physically, it can be mentally, it can be financially, in whatever aspect we can, but service is must. It can be at home, it can be a temple, it can be anywhere, but doing service means actually showing love. So that is how we show love towards Krishna. So actually, when I was reading these purports, I was remembering His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, one of his lectures, where he says the devotees are a threat to the modern world. Now, why? Because devotees don't unnecessarily indulge in, more than what is required. And what are they a threat to? They are a threat to consumerism, they are a threat to alcoholism, to frivolous entertainment. So in the modern world, in the outside world, devotees are a waste, are useless, because they don't propagate any of the consumerism. But then because their needs are minimum, so they don't get into indulging unnecessarily. But then they don't understand that when the needs are minimum, right? When the needs are minimum, then you are more happy. I mean, when baggage is lesser, right? One is more lighter. There was one nice story of this thing I read. There was one very old lady, okay, and she was in the forest trying to carry a large amount of wood, and she was unable to lift it. So she was calling out to Krishna, and then she said, Krishna, please help me carry this load. But then he never comes, then somehow she manages to carry it on her head and she walks. And then when she had to put it down also, she was finding it difficult. She calls out to Krishna, please help me. And then the Lord appears and then he puts it, he helps her to put it down from her head. Then she is intrigued, she says, how come you didn't come when I called you, when I wanted to take it on my head? So Krishna says, I'm not here to add burden to your head. I'm here to remove the burden. So with that note, and with the marketing strategies that we see, they are here to only add burden on our heads, which is not worthwhile either, materially or spiritually. So Bhakti Yoga, means Buddhi Yoga. If we read, if you all have time later, you please read the purport of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada's purport, Shloka 39 of chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, where Prabhupada says Buddhi Yoga means Bhakti Yoga. I mean, if we are really intelligent and we are using our Buddhi, we do get into Bhakti Yoga, where our needs are minimum. And then with Bhakti, that means we know Krishna, we love Krishna, and we are doing everything for Krishna. And in reciprocation, what does Krishna do? Like how he came and saved Gajendra, how he reciprocated with Bali Maharaj, he is going to take care of all of us. Irrespective of whether we do it or not, still the Lord is taking care. But then he would take special care, like how he came personally to Gajendra and how he personally became a doorman to Bali Maharaj. So with this two pastimes and with these 4 shlokas, I stop the conversation, my monologue here. If any of you want to add or ask, please go ahead. There have been, as a condition, so a lot of shortcomings, but just as a service to the Guru Parampara, especially to my Guru Maharaj, I had took up this service, and I'm very thankful and grateful to all the people who have provided me with the service, and all of you who have been very patient in listening to my talk. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thanks for that wonderful session. Giving us the understanding that the only way to remove the burden from our head is to glorify the holy name. Yes, Mataji, we'll take a few questions. I think Radhika Mataji would like go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much. Mataji, just a couple of doubts on what you just said. Can you please repeat the last story which you told and the previous story about the door, Mataji? I was not able to grasp that. I'm so sorry.
Door, a doorman.
Yeah, no, not the doorman. You said Lakshmi told from which door he will come. So
I heard this from one Madhvacharya saying. As such, I have not read it. But then I remember, because it's coming from the Madhva Sampradaya, I repeated it. The palace in which Bali Maharaj is there, has several doors. So each time he's coming from different doors. And then so Lord is, is running from this door to that door to wonder where Bali Maharaj is coming as a doorman. So Lakshmi Ji comes and says, humbly says, please fix one door to come. Otherwise, my Prabhu, my Lord is, he's so anxious to know which door, and then he's anxious to come to that door so that, he fulfills whatever he says. Yeah, that was first thing. And the last story about the burden, is it? Okay. This was, as such, it was an interesting, but then I don't know if it comes from as such scriptures, but then it was highlighted the point that there was a very old lady in the forest who was every day carrying a lot of wood and other things for her daily activities. And then she gathered so much wood that she could not lift it and put it on her head. And she was calling out to Krishna, please help me, come and help me to put this, whatever I have gathered on my head. It was a huge bundle. But then he doesn't reciprocate. He doesn't come. And then she somehow manages, and then she goes. And then when she wants to put it down because of old age, even then she finds it difficult. She calls out to Krishna, said, oh, Krishna, please come and help me to take it off my head. So immediately the Lord appears and helps her to take it off. Then she says, how come you came now? And you didn't come. Then he says, I'm here to put your burden down, not put it on your head. So
Hari, very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much. Sorry, I couldn't grasp it much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
That was a very nice example, Mataji, to practice. Mataji, I have one question.
Okay.
Now, this Prahlad Maharaj, he was from a demon family, but he was a very good devotee. So why was he sent to the lower planet? All of them, no, Bali Maharaj, they all were sent to lower planet. Why is it?
Prahlad Maharaj was not sent to any lower planet. He
That's what I told Mataji in one lecture. He said because because he belonged to a demon family, they were all, but he had all the, all the necessities in life, and
he actually rules for 36,000 years. And then he goes. From what little I have heard, and what understanding I have, I will clarify this. If there is more, then Mataji, Sustevika Mataji can add. Pure devotee, it doesn't matter where he is, whether he's in any planet, whether he's in hell, heaven. For him, devotional service is important, right? It doesn't matter. Because you see, it is difficult for us, like how the Lord is Achintya, this aspect of the pure devotee is also Achintya. Now, the pure devotees pray, I don't care where I am, whether I'm in heaven, hell, earth, wherever it is. That is not my concern. My concern is that I have to be in your service. So whether where they are is should not be worried, because they are already liberated. Because the Lord himself came to save Prahlad. So it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter is what I can think of. If there's anything else Mataji wants to add, please.
Mataji, because just want to know, because when you do Damodar Arati and all that, no, that time sometimes this question comes. Sometimes because this is what I heard. That's why. So it was bothering me in my mind. I wanted to find out why.
Yeah. See, if it is very new crowd, Damodar month, we generally go to places where the devotees are new. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this aspect will be very difficult for them to comprehend. It's like teaching a first standard child 10th standard syllabus. So, so the best way to tell them, to make them understand this is, you please come to the classes, we will explain. And once they understand the aspect of the Lord, how the pure devotee works, and what is it, the mood of a pure devotee, then it can be explained. But there in the Damodar pastime, if it is a new set of devotees, I would definitely not say that you should give these answers. You tell them it is not connected here, but definitely we are doing this and we are going to continue doing classes, and if you come, you will definitely understand.
Yeah, okay, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Krishna Mataji. But it is always said that Prahlad Maharaj is in Vaikuntha. This is something, maybe with what context it was told, we do not know.
Yeah.
If we get a reference, maybe we can create it. There are others also, Mataji. 5 more minutes for the question answers.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Yes.
Vandana Mataji has raised her hand. Suma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. Wonderful session, Mataji. Mataji, I have a doubt regarding Gajendra ji. You mentioned that he was in distress for 1,000 years, right? And so where did this incident happen, on Earth or some other planet? And what happened when he got liberated? In which loka did he go?
Vaikuntha Loka, right? He goes to Vaikuntha because the Lord himself comes and he sees the Lord, and once one sees the Lord, he goes to the Vaikuntha Loka. See, actually, okay, a good question. There are so many Vaikuntha Lokas, right? We know, like how there are innumerable material planets, there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets. So there is a planet where this pastime is always happening. So that is where Gajendra will go. There is a planet where always Bhishmadev is praying to Krishna. So many Vaikuntha planets. So this is where he goes. And of course, he was in the earthly planet, Gajendra. And then that is how he gets a curse and he comes. And then after being liberated by the Lord, he goes to the Vaikuntha planets. Did I answer your question, Mataji?
Okay, Mataji, got it. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranams. May I ask my question, Mataji?
Please, Mataji.
Mataji, today's session was wonderful, Mataji. How we should take the shelter of Lord Sri Krishna, you said, Mataji. But in the process of bhakti, when we practice, the difficulties come and more for our purification.
Okay.
But at that time, many senior Matajis or Prabhujis will instruct us to recite Narasimha Kavacha and everything. So I'm not so happy in reciting Narasimha because I like Krishna more than Narasimha Avatara. So how can we come out of that, Mataji? They say that if you chant this, there won't be any obstacles in the path and you will get good health. But I really don't know, Mataji, how to take it. So I'm scared. I'm not scared. Like
you will get attached to Narasimha and go to Narasimha.
Yes, Mataji. So I don't want that, Mataji. But I'm confused, Mataji. But we need some protection or something like that, Mataji, because the fall is there. Sometimes we'll do, sometimes we do not. We're not able to do practice.
You spoke my mind actually. On one Narasimha Chaturdasi day, I was listening to my Guru Maharaj, his Holiness Jayapita Kasmani Maharaj's lecture. Okay, and exactly same. I was same words I can say. If I'm worshipping too much to Narasimha, then I think of Narasimha and go to Narasimha Loka instead of Goloka. And not that I'm saying I will go to Goloka, but then this was the thought process.
Yes, Mataji, same.
Yes. You won't believe, at the end of in the lecture on Narasimha Chaturdasi day, my Guru Maharaj, said today is Narasimha Chaturdasi. We are praying to Narasimha to remove all our obstacles. You don't have to be afraid or worried that you are praying to Narasimha. You go to Goloka, you go to Narasimha planet. He said this. I don't remember the year. Probably that year I can check out Narasimha Chaturdasi day. And then he says, you pray to Narasimha to remove the obstacles so that we go to Goloka. I was stunned, because exactly I had this in my mind and my Guru Maharaj is saying this, right? So, and Srila Prabhupada actually says, in fact, in Mayapur, when Mayapur temple was being constructed, there was a lot of people who were robbing and then other things were happening. So Srila Prabhupada says, you install Narasimha Dev and then pray to him and Kavacha, and in fact he says so many other prayers. I mean, Purusha Sukta and all, every day it has to be recited so that the protection is there. So you can recite Narasimha Kavacha, you can, of course, the Mahamantra is the ultimate. You can recite Narasimha Kavacha so that you have health and whatever obstacles to chant well, right? So that can be the mood. So we have come a long way, from demigod. We don't even want to worship. Think so much of Narasimha Dev, and then we are confused. Yeah.
Because in Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, no, Mataji, like Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Shranam. So that doubt I had, Mataji. Whatever problem we have, we should go to Krishna. So Narasimha Avatar, I'm not so I'm attached to it.
See,
so
another aspect, devotional. It says in Trikuta, Gajendra, in heavenly planets, right? Yes. Thank you, devotees who have clarified that Gajendra Leela, or Gajendra whatever, is happened in the Trikuta, in the heavenly planets, not on the earthly planets. I was a little confused, or I had forgotten about that. Thank you very much for clarifying. One aspect I want to tell you, Suma Mataji, devotional service is not what I want. Devotional service is what the Lord wills, right? That is what is actually devotional service. While it is good to think that, because Srila Prabhupada says devotees, Krishna devotees don't even worship Lakshmi Narayana because they always want to go to Goloka. But we should also remember, Prabhupada always, and all the pure devotees always say, what is it that the Lord wants? Okay. So we should keep this also in mind. That will help us to be really more humble and accept. That is what is Sarva Dharman Parityajya actually. The Lord knows best, right?
Mataji, and one more small doubt, Mataji, that certain burdens are given by the Lord, like when we burdens, Mataji, like it's not given by the Lord in the sense like we get married, we'll have children. So they're all like material burdens only, like when we compare to when we do bhakti on a sadhana. So to bring all of them to bhakti, it is very difficult, no Mataji. Like we have to take the shelter of Krishna. So at that time, if the Lord doesn't help us, how can we?
How do you know the Lord is not helping you? One question. Second
They do
question.
not hear to us, Mataji. They do
Second
not come to
question.
me.
They are not coming. Now, you are concerned about your immediate family, aham mameti, right? If I'm a devotee and following the parampara, Krishna Bhagavad Gita says 2.47. He says, what does he say? Karmanyevadikaraste mahaleshu kadachana. What is the most important aspect of that shloka? You have only the right to do your prescribed duty. You have to do the duty, but you have no control over the results of it. Now, why doesn't this apply to your children? Why is it should be to others who are there preaching? It applies. Charity begins at home. It applies to everybody else other than anybody and everybody. So you are in whatever your capacity, maybe giving prasadam or you following rules and these things, are giving them Krishna conscious in your own way. And then if it is not in the their karma or their this thing of that soul, then how can it happen that they are going to be Krishna conscious in this lifetime? Okay, we may not be around when they become Krishna conscious. So our duty, this thing is that we follow Krishna consciousness and not expect anybody else to follow. Right? Right? Yeah. And then it is not a burden. It is a service Krishna has given you. You said like all these things are a burden. No, it is not a burden.
Like our duties, Mata.
It is our duties, prescribed duties. If you see Swadharma, Krishna talks about in Bhagavad Gita, two Swadharmas. One is on the bodily platform and one is the Atma platform. The Atma platform is Krishna consciousness, bodily platform is whatever. So you do what you have to do. And the very fact, if you do it very nicely and more caringly and without any expectation itself, is enough for people to come. Achar, that's why Prabhupada said Achar first, then Prachar. So if we are in that mindset, I'm doing this, that means it becomes fruity mentality. I'm expecting results.
Yes,
I'm
Mataji.
expecting results based on what I'm seeing now. But Krishna will give results based on so many things, past, present, future. Right?
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, a wonderful answer. Yeah, true it is. Lord never gives us the burden. It is we who, He fulfills our desire. So whatever we hear it, we should in a very submissive mode. Then that class will not occur. Thank you so much, Mataji, for the wonderful session. And if there are no more questions, we can end the session with all your permission.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Mataji.
Very nice
Dandavat pranam. Very nice class, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I end the session, Mataji. Hare Krishna.